Hello kiddies! Sorry, this week's show is going to be a bit of a heave your pants up and smash right on type situation because your Uncle Spurt is buggering off to a festival for the weekend. Gonna go mosh with all the Cotswold kids over at 2000 Trees. Actually no, let's face it, I'm probably just going to be swaying gently at the very edge of the crowd because frankly my mosh pit days are well behind me. I mean, just last week I f***ed my shoulder by picking up a magazine, and then this morning I managed to bugger my back by blowing my nose. If I actually ventured into a mosh pit, there probably wouldn't even be any teeth left to identify my remains. Anyway, I'm just babbling on now. I'm gonna quickly pack, shoot this video, and then piss right off out of it. So let's see, I've got beer, rum, whiskey, beer, spare pair of pants. Bollocks to that, that's just taking up valuable beer space. Oi, cockface, can I come? Sorry old chum, no room in the bag. Nah, just shove me down the front of your pants then. There's loads of room. Are you saying that I've got massive pants? Nah, massive pants and very little inside of them. It's like having a 3-story condo for an ant. Techspert Weekly. So if you watched last week's show, well, firstly, apologies. And second, you'll know that I said I'm kind of gutted that Oppo no longer bothers to launch its Find X series flagships here in Blighty, because they are some of the best blowers I've ever had packed into my pants. But at the same time, no European launch means less phones for your Uncle Spurt to review, which means more time to indulge in my hobbies, including drinking and seeing how much drink I can drink before my brain stops working. And well, it seems I may have spoken a wee bit too soon. As Chris Johansson pointed out in last week's comments, the Find X8 is coming back to global markets, already officially confirmed. Sorry Mr. Spurt. Not as bloody sorry as I am, believe me. So it appears that at a talk at MWC 2024, Oppo did indeed announce that an upcoming generation of the Find series smartphones would make it back into Europe. Now I was at MWC 2024 as usual, but I didn't attend that particular Oppo talk because, hey, MWC is in Barcelona. They have tapas and Estrella Damm. And even if Jesus decided to magically descend from the heavens for a one-off MWC cabaret special with the zombie Jimi Hendrix, frankly, I'd still be sat in a plaza somewhere with a cold pint and a mountain of patatas bravas. Now, the announcement didn't specifically mention that the Find X8 series would come to Europe, just an upcoming generation of the phones. So this could very well just be one of those sneaky, non-committal, crowd-pleasing kind of performances, the kind that MPs absolutely bloody love the tits off. So perhaps the Find X14 series will trickle out into Europe, or most probably in a few years' time we'll all have forgotten Oppo's pledge anyway because we'll all be living in underground caves. Because ChatGPT will have finally gotten sick of drawing endless pictures of Ariana Grande with 5 breasts and just nuked us all to f*** instead. Which, frankly, deserved. But pretend for a moment that this is a parallel world where nice things actually occasionally happen and the Find X8 series does actually land in the UK. What can we expect? Well, at the very start of 2024, Oppo launched a pair of Find X7 blowers, the regular model and the Ultra version for those with stacks right up to the ceiling. And opinion seems to be a wee bit divided on whether they'll stick with this format for the Find X8 series or they'll reintroduce the Pro model, thus giving us a trio of fresh new Find X8 phones for your Uncle Spurt to review. Yippee hooray. And the Find X8s are said to be launching towards the very arse end of 2024, less than a full year after the X7s debuted. Again, some online rumours have suggested possibly an October launch for the Find X8 lot to fill in the pixely shaped gap left by Google if they actually bring forward their launch to August time. Me, that's just next month as well. Really gotta get through that review pile of shame right there, so many phones still to cover. Seriously, these phone companies just need to calm the down with the launches already. However, there's also hot leaks that the Find X8 and the X8 Pro, if it's actually a thing, will be among the very first blowers powered by Mediatek's new Dimensity 9400 chipset, which won't itself actually be launching until the middle of November. A launch that your Uncle Spurt should hopefully be attending out in New Delhi. And a fun wee fact for you, the last time I visited India, it was so bloody hot that my fair complexion turned roughly the same colour as beetroot, so no doubt this will end well. But the timings with the Dimensity launch should push back any Oppo Find X8 shenanigans until sort of mid to late November at the earliest. And benchmarks for the Mediatek Dimensity 9400 have already leaked all over the internet, and frankly this chipset is looking beefier than a cow pie that's been stuffed inside of another cow. Those multi-core scores have actually surpassed Qualcomm's upcoming Snapdragon 8 Gen 4 if these numbers aren't total trouser. And speaking of which, the Find X8 Ultra model is actually said to be powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, so it'll certainly be interesting to see which between the Snapdragon and the Mediatek Dimensity actually come out on top. Although of course it's not all just about raw power, you've also got to factor in energy efficiency and lots of other techie bollocks. And speaking of energy efficiency, well, most leaks reckon we'll get up to a 5,500 mAh capacity battery in the Find X8 phones. Pretty standard stuff, although some reckon it'll actually be boosted to 6,000 milliamps, which bloody yes please. And there's also been some internet chat about the camera tech, so it looks like the Find X8 Ultra will stick with a quad cam setup, possibly all 50 meg shooters again, including a pair of telephoto snappers with upgraded sensors. The Pro could also rock 4 cameras, while the regular Find X8 sticks with 3. And of course expect the usual Hasselblad-led colour tuning type shindiggery. Of course it was always the camera tech that really helped the Oppo Find X series to stand out from other rivals. But now we've got the likes of Xiaomi and Vivo and Honor and loads of manufacturers spaffing out really great flagship camera phones. So will the Find X8 lot find it a bit tricky to attract attention if it does blaze its way across Europe? Well, it'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And now it's time for the part of the show that's kind of like an itchy taint when you're desperately clinging onto a precipice over an angry crowd of famished alligators. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. So let's start this week with Alessandro Balestrini, who says, what happened to the other jingle? You mean this one?
This is about next week.
Or maybe this one. Give me free shit, I like free shit, give me free shit, please. Or do you mean the new long-ass opening credits that ChatGPT spaffed out for me? Because if you do, I decided against that one because people are already complaining that I waste enough of their time banging on about useless, pointless shit in these videos. So adding on a crap opening credits that lasts the best part of a minute might possibly lead to quite a few broken smartphones and a lot of rage quitting. Next up, Bry6314 says, if you want a nosh from a ghost, go ask Ray Stantz and see how he did it. Well, you know what they say, bustin' makes me feel good. Oh, Bry also says, if you're having a tough time with Genshin Impact, might I recommend another high graphics game called Pocket Tanks. It's much better to play. Look at this bad boy up. Hang on, I think you might be yanking my plank a bit here, buddy, right? This looks more like a game from the bloody Amiga days or something. In fact, this really reminds me of an old two-player game we used to play back on the school PCs, where you're a gorilla who looks copyright infringingly similar to Donkey Kong, and the whole point of the game is to hoy explosive bananas at your opponent, who is also a Donkey Kong-like. These bananas must have f***ing Semtex in them or something, because if the banana hits the gorilla, there's meaty chunks everywhere. And of course, being a massive bloody nerd, I actually hacked into the QBasic code and changed it so if you were true with your throw and that banana blew the shit out of your opponent, a little speech bubble would pop out of their bloody remains with one of 3 colourful expletives. Needless to say, it was a massive hit, and if my old IT teacher is watching right now, I'm really sorry. Carfan says, is that the Vivo X3 Pro? The Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, it is indeed. Been playing around with it quite a bit these past couple of weeks, and I'm going to be obviously seeing how it compares with the fresh new Galaxy Z Fold 6. So stay tuned for a review type situation. This isn't actually the phone I'm reviewing right now though. The phone I'm reviewing is still highly confidential and I am NDA'd right up my arsehole with it. But stay tuned, more on that next week potentially. Anyway, really need to crack on because I do need to bugger off shortly. So last week's show was all, of course, about the Samsung Galaxy Watches, which launched this week at Unpacked. Bit of correspondence on those. That Ice Champion says, I wish Samsung made the Ultra look more like a Gear and less like the Temu version of the Apple Watch. And likewise, Antonio Adolfo 80 Thompson says they had some cases left over from the Gear Sports Watch. Bit of a blast from the past, but yeah, top tier observation there. It does look kind of similar with the kind of squarish frame but the rounded screen inside. RJ Streams says, will the Ultra feature a rotating dial? No, there's bugger all rotation, unfortunately. No, it's the Samsung alternative method where you run your finger around the rim of the screen instead. It's not quite as satisfying, and then you end up blocking half the display with your pinky anyway. And this is a situation that has displeased most people, and understandably so. So for instance, Snowjade says, I'm super disappointed that the circle on top doesn't rotate on the Ultra. Whip2620 says, I don't care what it does. If it doesn't have the rotating bezel, I ain't buying it. And Ligarisho says, will there be no classic version anymore? Well, given the response to the lack of rotating bezel action on these watches just in last week's viewer comments, I would imagine there'll be quite a backlash in the general Samsung community. And frankly, all that twisty shenanigans is one of the best things about Samsung smartwatches, so I will be shocked if we don't see it in the upcoming generation. Be like that time that OnePlus ditched its bloody alert sliders and then everyone absolutely lost their shit, and then they brought them back the following generation. Big success. And last week I also had a bit of a moan about my PSP dying on its arse, the battery basically just bursting out of the back of the bloody thing because I hadn't turned it on in so long. I was kind of tempted to go on eBay, maybe see if I could get an old PS Vita or something to play the box load of PSP games that I've now got just like rotting up in the attic. But then Mythic Sun says, the only way you could make the Vita backwards compatible without rebuying PSP games in the PlayStation Store, bloody Sony, is if you hacked it first and then already owned or had some way of obtaining the ISO files for all of the PSP games you wanted to play. Now, backwards compatibility is surprisingly toss on consoles most of the time, although to be fair, also trying to get old PC games running on a new PC is an absolute arse grind. And also, I've just noticed in the camera viewfinder I've had a bit of sodden fluff stuck to my bald head the entire friggin' video as usual. Highly bloody professional. See, MK BHD, he doesn't have to deal with this shit. He's got his little minions who can point out, oh, by the way, mate, or Mr. BHD, or whatever he gets called. You've got a bit of honey nut cluster stuck to your face there. You might want to brush that off before you start filming. Anyway, what the f was I banging on about? Old PC, yeah, trying to get old PC games to run on new PCs. An absolute ball ache that is rarely worth it, I found as well. You usually spend like hours digging around in config files and fanning about with DOSBox or something until you finally get the game working and then discover that it's aged about as well as a statue of Jimmy Savile made of brie. Pitch Blend says, shocked you missed potato puffs by Burton's, which are little pillows of goodness. The ongoing nostalgic snack wars. I've never actually heard of potato puffs before, I've got to say. Maybe they never made it up north, but it appears that they bit the dust a long while back anyway. The first hit is actually a Facebook group entitled Bring Back Burton's Potato Puffs. Here's an idea. Burton's are only concentrated on biscuits. Let's boycott all of their products and force them to bring back puffs. I do really love these militant Facebook groups because it's always the same thing. They've all got the same singular goal, but they'll all start infighting over something like which flavour is the best, and then the roast beef guys will call the prawn cocktail lads a bunch of woke cucks. Be massive amounts of infighting and that'll all just fall to shit. Also looks like there's a change.org petition to bring back the old potato puffs. Had 223 signatures in 4 years. Don't think we'll be seeing those things again. There's been surprisingly little football chat in the comments, but Astro Boy does say, any guesses on the next game against Switzerland? And this is one of the benefits of replying to these comments a whole week later, is that I basically feel like Future Boy who knows all. And yeah, England going through on penalties, that's, yeah, who would have predicted that one? Pretty sure if you'd said that a week ago, even Mystic Meg would have told you to f*** off. At least she would have if she wasn't dead. That all said though, the pants are on the other arse this week because of all the festival shenanigans. I'm actually shooting this video on Wednesday evening before the England-Netherlands semi-final, so you guys already know what's happened in that match. I'm still in blissful ignorance. I'm gonna foolishly try and predict the score now and probably look massively stupid, but I'm gonna go for a 3-1 spanking by the Dutch. No prolonged torture, no more bloody extra time or penalties or anything. They'll just see us away. They'll just take us around the back of the bomb with a double-barreled shotgun and blow our bloody heads off. And if I am completely off the mark with that and England manage to scrape through into the bloody Euros finals, that will actually be slightly irritating because I'm actually going to be in the air travelling to the bloody OnePlus launch on Sunday when they kick off. But whoa, getting ahead of myself a wee bit here. Next week, what the f*** is next week? So yeah, the plan is get back from this festival, and if I'm still in one piece, get myself to the airport, get on a plane and fly out to Italy for the OnePlus launch, where they're going to be spaffing out the fresh new Nord 4, as well as a new smartwatch, new OnePlus Pad 2 tablet, new true wireless earbuds, the works, and OnePlus themselves have already kind of spoiled all this, so yeah, so much for mystery and suspense. But hey, it's Italy, so I'm all good. I'll just find myself a nice piazza and sit there with a cold pint of Peroni and a massive off gelato. Anyway, yes, please do come back next week for hands-on fondly action with all of that OnePlus shenanigans, and I think that's all next week, thank God, because that's going to be more than enough, let's face it. I'm going to try smashing on with more. I'm going to try and actually get this bloody thing reviewed. The new Galaxy Z Foldy Flippy stuff, of course. So yes, if you haven't already, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell, all the usual YouTube tossery, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful weekend. Oh, and don't forget to type comments down below, and we'll do those next week and stuff. Cheers everyone, love you!